Hi, my name is George Klaus, and this is The Practice. This is me documenting our firm's journey, taking the Florida firm from 1.2 to $10 million in gross revenue by 2030. Our weekly recap. What went right, what went wrong, and what needs to be explored. What went right? Today, every Friday, I started blocking on my calendar some time to do advertising. Somehow, I don't even know how it happened, I had a whole free morning. I don't know if I caught up on my work. I don't know if appointments canceled, but somehow I got to the office this morning and everything from my morning was gone. And what that meant was I had the whole entire morning to start to set up and work on our Facebook ads. And the good thing I did, because I haven't ran them for the firm yet, and so everything needed to be set up from scratch, and it took me probably 3 hours of my time, which will get into one of the things we need to explore. But those ads are running right now. They were approved. It's very basic. I got the campaign, a single ad group, and a single ad set. And then my hope is over the weekend, if I have some free time, I can add some more ads to that ad set so I can get some different variations going. But at least I got something running and something is going right now, and I'm going to test it for 3 weeks. What am I running? I'm running Pennsylvania custody ads. Why did I decide, different from what we were talking about last week, to go with the Facebook ads rather than Google? Well, everything is working right now in Pennsylvania, but what we're not doing in Pennsylvania is ensuring that every different potential avenue that we can advertise in that has a high likelihood to bring in business is being utilized and optimized. I feel very comfortable right now with our Google ads. They're running, they're working, but they cost a ton of money. And so my hope is potentially shifting some of our resources away from Google ads into Facebook advertising if possible. Now, I'm going to follow the rule that if it's not broke, let's not try to fix it. So those ads are just going to run, and I'll continue to try to tweak them and optimize them, but I'm not shutting them off just yet or pulling back. If anything, we'll, for at least the time being, because they're working so well, I'm not touching them unless our Google Ads expert says this will help improve your ad, will reduce cost or the like. But we did turn on the Facebook ads, so I'm very excited. We're running custody right now. My hope is to get custody going, to get divorce going, to start increasing the firm's cash flow. Family law, although time intensive, is increasing the cash flow for the business. And the way I look at it is from a trial perspective. These are great practice on those big personal injury cases that really matter. I get to get comfortable in the court. I get to learn the judges, and I get to try different styles and tactics and arguments so that on those million or multi-million dollar cases that I have to try in front of a jury, I will be prepared. All of this is preparation for those major milestones. So we got those ads running. In addition, I'm starting to get this sense that the family law practice area, although very time intensive and emotionally intensive, and sometimes it's just terrible what these people will do to each other. And as long as you can set that aside and not bring it home, this is what I like to call low-hanging fruit. Why is it low-hanging fruit? It's low-hanging fruit because the cost to advertise in these areas is cheaper than the cost to advertise for personal injury. I want to bring in personal injury cases. I want the car crash cases. I want the trucking cases. I want the motorcycle cases. I want the slip and falls. But to compete with the behemoths out there who have 10, 20, 30, maybe 100 times the resources that our firm does, it's difficult for me to place my ad money against their ad money, and then I have a fighting chance. But if I can bring in clients from other practice areas and then tell those clients that, hey, I also do car accidents, God forbid you're in a car accident, maybe they'll start to come together. That's my thought. What else went right this week? Billed a ton of hours. It's Friday. I look exhausted. I feel exhausted. But I got a lot of hours billed this week, so that went right. There's plenty of work. I left the office today early, still with 60 unread emails in my inbox. Now it's a good day, but 60 emails behind. What went right is I also turned down some business. So when I first started practicing, I took everything. I didn't care what it was. I didn't care what type of case it was. I didn't even care if I was going to be potentially successful in that matter. I took it for the experience, for the exposure, and the potential recovery. Over the past 2 weeks, I turned down probably 4 or 5 cases in the property damage realm. These were either referrals or straight calls to our firm where the individual had only a property damage claim. And in the beginning of my career, I would have done these type of claims on a contingency fee basis. I would have gone after the carrier, the insurance company, the driver, would have done it all on a contingency fee basis with the hope that I get paid some money. And at the beginning of my career, if I settled a case for $1,000, $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000, well, my payday on that, even if it was only $1,500, that really meant a lot at that time. But now it's about balancing how much I could potentially make on that additional billable client versus spending all of the time and energy on these property damage claims. So I was proud that I was able to turn these cases down. I did offer, of course, to do those on an hourly or a retainer basis, but of course, those individuals, they don't have money to begin with to hire an attorney, which is why they're calling to see if someone will do it on a contingency fee basis. But why did it go right? It went right because a part of me didn't want to give them up, didn't want to say no, because a part of me thinks there's something there. A part of me thinks that, well, yeah, there's probably some compensation there, maybe $3,000, $4,000. If I had an associate that I could bill out to do it, I would have them do it. But even then, I don't know, besides experience and exposure, if it would be worth to pay the associate the time necessary to get the potential recovery on those cases. So that's why it went right, is even though it pains me to say it, I turned down business because it wouldn't have been economical at the end of the day. What went wrong this week? Well, what went wrong, the first thing that I thought about was I wanted to reach out to my Google Ads expert just to schedule some time to talk to her. And with everything going on at the office and the phone calls and the court appearances and all of the work, I'd never got around to doing that. I'm talking about it now. I'm going to do it this weekend. But why it went wrong was it's difficult to balance the working in the business and on the business unless you've blocked time for it. Now, perhaps I could have made and maybe should have made this a priority to get done during Mondays when I block time on my calendar to work on what I call CLG operations, which is an hour where I only work on the operations of the law firm. And I could have shooed that in there. This past week, I worked on some other issues that were going on in the firm, but I perhaps should have made that a priority because that was what first came to my mind when I was reflecting on what went wrong this week. The next thing that went wrong was I took that vacation, which was really only a 3-day vacation. It was a long weekend, and it was amazing. We had a wonderful time in Austin. First time in Austin, Texas. Ate way too much Texas barbecue, but it was amazing. But what went wrong was no one was monitoring my emails when I was away because I'm the admin. I have super admin privileges on my computer, and so I don't give anybody access to my email when I'm gone. And for whatever reason, Google makes me have the 2-factor authentication thing. So they need my phone anyway to get in. So I don't give anybody access. But right now, the way our system is set up, I'm the only one receiving the potential new client form submissions from our website. And there was at least 2, there might have been 3 legitimate form fill submissions that happened at the end of June. So I was away. And it's the 10th now. I just noticed it over the past couple of days, if not today, when I was still playing catch up on those emails. And now that really broke my heart. It broke my heart because those were legitimate form fills from people who looked for our website, found our website, either through the ads or on their own, filled out the form, told us what they needed us for, and we didn't follow up quickly enough. Now, maybe we'll get lucky. Maybe we will follow our follow-up procedures and they'll schedule a consultation and want to hire us, but I doubt it. It's been 2 weeks. It's been 2 weeks. What are they going to do in 2 weeks? They're going to call other attorneys who get back to them quicker. And so I'm hoping that with the new HubSpot integration, that instead of the emails coming directly to me, that the emails can be flowed, even if they come directly to me, from me to our HubSpot CRM system, so that when the form gets filled out, it automatically goes into the CRM, into HubSpot, so then the staff can immediately take action and find out what to do next. What else went wrong? The last thing that I had on my list here that went wrong is I am just so impatient. I want to achieve these economic goals for the firm tomorrow. I want them tomorrow. But on the other hand, we don't even have the procedures in place and the systems in place for that to be feasible. For the example that I just gave, if I want to take time off from the business, how is the business going to continue to operate without the systems in place? And it's hard to balance where I want to be with where we are now, because unless we give everybody access to a single shared email, which I don't think is the appropriate way to do things, then there needs to be a system in place at the very basic level, from when someone fills out a form online to the time that we call them to schedule the consult to the time that they become a client. That has to be systematized and be as flawless as possible to get us to that next stage, in my opinion. What needs to be explored? I hired an individual to teach me Google Ads. Sure, she can do it for you and you could pay her to do it, and she has courses and books, and I bought her book and she has great courses. But I wanted to get hands-on experience on how to actually run and analyze and think about Google Ads. And she's extraordinarily expensive, but it's some of the best money I've ever spent. Invaluable money spent on learning how to do this. Because the way I look at it is, every hour I spend with her is at least 5 to 10 hours that I saved because I didn't have to pay a third party to manage my Google Ads. I'm thinking about whether or not I should do the same for Facebook ads. I'm probably going to look and see if there is somebody that I can hire, potentially on Upwork, who will teach me how to run Facebook ads. But what I would like to do first is I want to get my feet wet. I'm going to run Facebook ads for at least the next 3 to 4 months, watch some videos online, do some trial and error and some experiments to see if I can get any of it to work. That's what I'm thinking, but it needs to be explored because I'm gonna need some more additional time to think about it. And lastly, what I have here on what needs to be explored is, again, this balancing, right? Because it's hard to be happy if you're not where you want to be. But it's all not only relative, but a balancing act. Because you want to try to stay positive and happy with the little wins and doing the things you love. Although I started working less about 6 months ago when I decided that I want to go back and start training jiu-jitsu again after my neck injury, it has been not only some of the most fun that I've had, but I've also still continued to grow the firm, to bring in more business, and to bill more hours. And that's twice a week during the week, where I have a hard cutoff at 5 p.m. so that I can make the 6 o'clock class. And then I do it again on the weekend. It gives me that time so that I can recharge, completely forget about my day, and it's been invaluable. In addition to that, why we work so hard is so sometimes we can spend money on things that we enjoy. And one of the things that I enjoy is collecting Pokemon cards. And so one of my original cards that I pulled this card by opening a pack, was this card here. And it just came back from grading. And I got my first card. Why isn't it focusing? Focus, focus, focus. Well, for whatever reason, it's not focusing on the camera. But I got my first cards I've ever graded back from PSA. And I got a PSA 10, my first ever PSA 10 on a Gengar and Mimikyu tag team. And why do I mention this during our what's supposed to be only about growing the business? But if all we're focusing on is the bottom line and growing the business, and we don't take little moments to enjoy life and buy things that make us happy, because this is cool, in my opinion. It's going to go right on the shelf back there because it makes me happy. I think it's awesome, even though I don't think you guys can see it in the camera there. It's all a balancing act, and I say this more to myself than to anyone out there, is trying to balance staying positive and happy while also trying to achieve great things. Because if you continue to focus on what you don't have because you don't have the policies and procedures in place, you don't have the systems in place, you look at your year over year, it's not where you want to be, you're not there yet, you're going to continue to be unhappy. At least I am, because I want to be there. Why aren't I not getting there faster? Why are others there and I'm not there? And we have to put all that aside from time to time and just enjoy the little things, because this is awesome. This card is so cool. It's going to go on my shelf. And honestly, it probably shouldn't even go on the shelf because I don't want it to get faded from the sun. But at least for right now, it's going to go on the shelf. So I'm going to put that out there. You should enjoy life. Enjoy your little time on this planet. And I say that to everyone and mostly just saying it to myself. That's all I wanted to share with you all today about my weekly recap. I'm going to go into the weekend, going to a Pokemon card show tomorrow. Super pumped. Anyway, my name is George Klaus. This is The Practice. This is our firm's journey taking the Florida firm from $1.2 to $10 million in gross revenue by 2030. Thanks for watching.